Alright, hey everyone, this is a demo of my CHIP-8 emulator written in C++ and STL. So CHIP-8 is basically an interpreted language that was used, it's a virtual machine really. It was used to program a lot of games in the late 70s and early 80s for a variety of early home computer systems. And it's kind of a rite of passage for emulation developers as kind of a first emulator to finish. So this is a demo of my CHIP-8 emulator. So we're going to start with Breakout, kind of a classic game. So the first thing you have to do is specify an entry point address. So this is what the PC, the program counter, is set to when it starts reading the program, and it's also where the first byte of the ROM gets entered into. So I'm going to input 512 here, and in most cases it's 512, but in some kind of more obscure systems it's not, so that's why you have to specify, in my case. So next is the delay value. So this is basically how many microseconds the emulator delays in between each CPU cycle. So in this case I put 2500 just based on the speed of my machine. That's kind of what results best in the most playable games. And this is necessary because this PC is obviously orders of magnitude faster than the hardware that this would have originally been run on. And so the final option is wrapping around out-of-bounds sprites. So the CHIP-8 specification is kind of loose because there's not really a single standard, and a lot of stuff was based on just what implementation did what. So some games only work if you wrap around sprites, and some other games only work if you don't. So in this case, I'm going to hit yes, and it'll open up the window. And so it's kind of rudimentary. There's only two colors, just black and white, and one sound channel that just plays a constant tone. In this case, it's just 150 hertz square wave. And there's 16 key inputs. So CHIP-8 predates ASCII keyboards really. So the actual keyboard that originally was available for these systems was a hexadecimal keyboard. So it has 0 through 9 and then A through F. So I've bound 0 through 9 to the numpad of my computer, and then A through F just to the A through F keys. And so in this case I'm using 4 and 6 to kind of control this paddle left and right, and there I lost the game. So most CHIP-8 games, they just freeze whenever you lose. So I have it so if you press the R key it resets everything. So it sets all the registers back to 0, so that way it'll basically just start reading from the beginning and play the game again. So anyway, that's Breakout. So I'll play some other little fun ones here. So we'll go ROMs. Let's see, games, go UFO. So this is basically the object of this one is just you have to shoot down these little flying saucers here. So you get more points for hitting the top one than you do the bottom one, but it moves kind of more erratically. I think using like a random number generator or something. So yeah, that's UFO. Not super compelling now, but you know, back in the 70s and 80s, this was real exciting stuff. So yeah, there's UFO. And then kind of the last one that I think is cool that I want to demo is something called Khalid, which is kind of neat. It's more of a demo than a game, but it's almost like you're making like a carpet. So it has this kind of four-way symmetry. It creates these neat little patterns, and then eventually it'll just start kind of running on its own once they intersect, and it'll just kind of go off doing its own little thing infinitely. And yeah, it produces these neat little patterns. So there's a lot of stuff that you can do with CHIP-8. There's ports of like Game of Life. I got like Pac-Man, Tetris on this. So yeah, there's my CHIP-8 emulator. Thank you for watching.